is a team with no offseason. This is NFL Total Access. Welcome to NFL Total Access. I'm Rhett Lewis. I'll be joined shortly by a pair of Super Bowl champions in James Jones and David Carr. And championship really is the key word here. About a week removed now from crowning a new one in the Bucs, with 31 other teams trying to figure out their formula. Rams, though, of course, as we know now, got to jump on that action with their trade that sent the quarterback carousel spinning. And now, as the dust begins to settle on the Rams trade with the Lions to acquire Matthew Stafford, the new LA quarterback, in a recent interview with the Detroit Free Press, saying he had one request of his old team when asking for the trade. He wanted to go to a team that was championship ready. And with the Rams just 2 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance and now 2 division titles under head coach Sean McVay, the request seemed to work. LA perennially among the league's best offenses since Sean McVay has taken over as head coach. The Rams' attack, though not as high-powered this year as in previous years, but just outside the top 10 in total yards and passing. For comparison, the Bucs championship offense this year, only about 7 yards better in total yards, but about 40 yards better in passing offense per game. As we now bring in David Carr. Here he is. DC, let's talk about this side of the trade from the Rams' perspective. Now, we know Matthew Stafford said he wanted to go to a championship team. Seems like he has that opportunity here with L.A. But from the Rams' perspective, what in particular makes Matthew Stafford a more championship-caliber quarterback than Jared Goff?
Well, when you watch the Rams play and you saw the limitations of the Rams offense, it wasn't structural and it wasn't from Sean McVay or just from creating an offense standpoint. Many times it was because he was able to create so much offense, and the issues that you see with them are things that happen post-snap. It's not necessarily what happened pre-snap. And Jared Goff made huge strides coming out of college, getting to the point where he could understand what he was seeing, getting to the play that Sean wanted. But what was happening, and most recently, where things were coming after the snap, where defenses were shifting, bringing extra pressures. There was no adjustment by Goff. There wasn't dynamic playmaking ability by Goff after the fact. So that was really where they had hit their ceiling, with their quarterback. Jared wasn't a bad quarterback. They were a great team with Jared. They were a team that actually beat the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. So it's not like they're that far away. So when you look at it from a front office standpoint and you say, if we can just get a quarterback that can make those dynamic plays, but also has the understanding of experience like a Matt Stafford, just look at his skill set. When I look at that paired with Sean McVay and his ability to create offense, which you said was only slightly behind the Bucs offensive output, I mean, it's going to be incredible. When they played the Bucs, they threw the ball 51 times. Can you imagine if Matt Stafford threw the ball 51 times? I mean, I'm thinking about the possibilities of this offense with Sean McVay running it. I think it could be dynamic. I mean, who's going to knock them off? That's the thing for me. I think they've instantly become NFC championship contenders.
Well, and one thing Rams fans will soon learn is that you're never out of a game with Matthew Stafford as your quarterback. Right. 31 fourth-quarter comebacks since coming into the league in 2009, more than any other quarterback. Now let's bring JJ into the conversation here. So let's lay it out simple. Matthew Stafford wanted to go to a championship-caliber team. Where do the Rams sit on your short list of championship contenders here, JJ?
Hey, they're right up there at the top, man, with Matthew Stafford. And I just want to tell you, I've played against Matthew Stafford a bunch. I've seen him get after it a bunch. He is up there. When you talk about throwing the football, he's up there with the Patrick Mahomes, the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's. You could put him right up there in that conversation when it comes to throwing the football. Matthew Stafford is a special thrower of the football. It doesn't matter if it's sidearm. It doesn't matter if the pocket's clean. It doesn't matter if he's getting outside the pocket. He is a special thrower of the football. And you match him with Sean McVay in that offense with those receivers who can run that routes and the schemes and how they scheme things on that offense with a special thrower of the football now. This is very scary. And you add on the run game that the Rams had that they found out they had in the playoffs. This is a scary, scary offense and a scary team, and we know what they could do on the defensive side of the ball. But I'm going to say it again. Matthew Stafford, put him up in that conversation with the best in the game right now of throwing the football. He is special. I know he's been in Detroit. The wins hasn't added up, but he is special at throwing that football.
You won't get an argument for me on that for sure. I think David definitely agrees in that category. And look, As we're talking about contenders here on February 15th, understanding there's a lot of roster construction left to be done here in the next few months before we get closer to kickoff. All right, maybe adding another special thrower of the football to the NFL here shortly. If a 10,000 career passing yards and 90 pass TDs at Clemson was part one of Trevor Lawrence's job interview, then part two was completed Friday with a 52-throw pro day workout in front of NFL evaluators, most notably 5 yards in front of new Jags head coach Urban Meyer, who watched every throw of that session with a front row seat. An audition, though, that Lawrence's resume didn't necessarily require.
I was just telling someone, just wanted to be like everybody else, go through this process the right way, and just felt like this was important for me to do, give all the teams a chance to see me throw, and something that, growing up, you kind of dream about having your pro day and everything's going normal. Then, like I said over there, life happens sometimes and things get switched up. So just showing that I can adapt and adjust, prepare short notice, and still, put on a pretty good day. Obviously, how these things go, you wish you had a few throws back, but overall, I thought it was a good day. But yeah, I just wanted to do the process the right way, and I thought that was important for us to still throw and to do that.
Let's welcome in Tom Pelissero now. Tom, we know that the pro day being moved up for Trevor Lawrence as a result of the shoulder surgery he's going to have here this week. What does that timeline now look like for Trevor?
Trevor Lawrence will undergo surgery on Tuesday with Dr. Neil Elatrash in Los Angeles to fix a torn labrum in his left non-throwing shoulder. As you mentioned, his pro day throwing session was moved up. Rather than working out with the rest of the Clemson players in mid-March, instead he threw on Friday. He's facing a 5 to 6 month recovery to get all the way back and fully cleared for contact. This allows him to accelerate that rehab process. Now, Lawrence also said on NFL Network the shoulder really wasn't bothering him that much, but this was the right time to get it fixed. Also said he will be fully good to go before training camp. Rhett?
And so it certainly sounded like that decision to push up the pro day was as a result of a conversation he had already had with Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer. Told that to Jane Slater, who was there at Clemson for the pro day. Back here with David Carr. Not the only thing that Jane discussed with Urban Meyer is offense. Now in Jacksonville for 2021, a big part of it as well. Says he thinks about it all the time, but it's going to be a collaborative effort, David. They're going to try to build this offense around the pieces that they have, not coming in with a set philosophy, right? So with Trevor Lawrence, the likely centerpiece, what does that offense look like?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to approach it. I mean, obviously, that's why Urban Meyer got this job, because he comes in as a quality football coach that understands it's not about your plays, it's about your players and who you have on the roster. So I think that when you look at their roster, they had a good young running back who was 5th in the league in rushing. Their offensive line isn't bad. They could use some help at the pass catcher standpoint, but I mean, you can look at a guy like Amari Rodgers and maybe bring him in and pair him in the second round with Trevor Lawrence. So I think that you're not that far away from having a pretty explosive offense if Urban's able to come in here and see what he has and then put something together. Now, what's it going to look like from just an overall general standpoint? I mean, are they going to be under center? I'm expecting it's going to look similar to what Urban's offenses have looked like in the past. I think a heavy run is what's going to happen. I think that James Robinson thing and the offensive line being a good thing. You heard Urban talk about that. He's excited about that. That's a good thing for a young quarterback, especially first-round pick. Those good offensive lines are hard to come by, especially when you're picking up in the top 5. So that's a good thing for Trevor. I think it'll be a good thing for Urban to be able to get going with, because this kid can do anything. You literally can do whatever you want from an offensive standpoint with Trevor Lawrence.
Sure, we talk about the golden arm so much. I mean, you got to remember, this is a mobile quarterback as well. Ran for 18 touchdowns, not a statue back there in the pocket. David, thank you very much. And as we bring Tom Pelissero back here, Tom, some sad news, unfortunately, to get into now with the passing of former Chargers and Buccaneers wide receiver Vincent Jackson. What are you learning about the details?
Vincent Jackson was found dead in a hotel room outside Tampa this morning. Authorities say there were no signs of trauma at the scene. A spokesperson for the Sheriff's Department told me the cause of death may not be determined for 6 to 8 weeks. Now, police say Jackson had been living in that hotel for over a month. Family members filed a missing persons report last Thursday. On Friday, sheriff's deputies located Jackson. They assessed his well-being, and they canceled that case. Now, Jackson was not only a phenomenal player, three-time Pro Bowl pick who caught 57 career touchdowns, he was also active with the NFL Players Association, one of the 10 named plaintiffs in an antitrust suit during the 2011 lockout. And he did significant community work through his Jackson in Action 83 Foundation, providing support for military families. He was a four-time Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee with the Bucs. Jackson leaves behind a wife and 4 children. He was just 38 years old. Brett.
Oh, Tom, thank you. Such unfortunate news today. Of course, our condolences extended to the Jackson family, and we've seen reaction pour in across the league. The Tampa Bay Bucs owner and co-chairman Brian Glazer releasing this statement. We're shocked and saddened to hear the terrible news regarding the loss of Vincent Jackson. During his 5 seasons with our franchise, Vincent was a consummate professional, took a great deal of pride in his performance on and off the football field, a dedicated father, husband, businessman, and philanthropist who made a deep impact on our community, as Tom was saying here, through his military family's support there, supported by the Jackson in Action 83 Foundation. He was a 3-time Pro Bowl selection for his accomplishments on the field, but his greatest achievements as a Buccaneer, the 4 consecutive nominations he earned as our Walter Payton Man of the Year. Our deepest condolences go to his wife, Lindsay, and the entire Jackson family. And reaction pouring in on social media. The Chargers, in addition to a statement with some love for 83 there in white, the team that drafted him in the 2nd round, and his former teammates weighing in as well. Sean Merriman was part of that same draft class. Merriman, a 1st-round pick. Jackson picked the round after, said you come in as teammates, you leave as brothers. Some things are hard to understand and hard to figure out why. As he goes on to say the things he'll miss about Vincent Jackson. Mike Evans